केवलवकति सन्मा
Guru Janana Parma Kevalabhagati Sanmagati
Vandamui Savadana I can see. Vandamui Savadana Hara prasari pai bhavatoriya yahai
Hara prasari bhavatoriya
Hara prasari pai bhavatoriya yahai Krishna Prapti Oya Krishna Prapti Oya Guru Mukha Padma Vacha Chite Te Koriya Haja Guru Mukha Padma Vacha Chite Te Koriya Haja Vairana Kori Yo Mangeha Vairana Kori Yo Mangeha Shri Guru Charani Rati Ese Uttama Ganti Je Prasare Pure Sarva Je Prasare Pure Sarva Dana Dilo Je Janme Janme Prabhu Se Chakudana Dilo Je Janme Janme Prabhu Se Deve Jnana Rite Prokasito Deve Jnana Rite Prokasito O Prema Bhakti Khaya Hote Avida Vinasagante Prema Bhakti Khaya Hote Avida Vinasagante Te Jaya Charito Hidayaya Charito. Guru Karuna Sindhu Hadama Janaira Bandhu. O Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Hadama Janaira Bandhu. Loke na loke rajivana. Loke nath loke rajivana. Oh aha Prabhu khora doya. Deho more bhai rajaya. Aha Prabhu Gora Doya Deho More Bhaira Jaya. Hivyas Nushutri Bhuvaina Prabhupada Patita Pavaina. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Shila Prabhupada. Onitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Jai Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Udale Srimante Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine. Om Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Pasyatad Satarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri O Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhaira Shivasari Pura Bhakta Vrinda. Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Onitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki.
Namo, namo. Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Eya Bilasi Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Eya Bilasi Yetamara Sharanaloy Taravancha Purna Hoy Tamara Sharanaloy Taravancha Purna Hoy Kripa Kori Korotare Vrindavanavasi Kripa Kori Korotare Vrindavanavasi Morae Abilas Vilas Kunde Diovan Morae Abilas Vilas Kunde Diovan Nayone Haribo Sada Yugala Ruparasi Nayane Haribo Sada Yugala Ruparasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namaha Hey Nivedana Dara. Takeru Anugata Koro Nivedana Dara. Takeru Anugata Koro. Seva Adi Koro Die. Koro Nijatasi. Devani Korodi Koroni Jadasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namaha Dina Krishna Dasi Koi Eye Namora Hoy 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 Sri Radha Govinda Preme Sadhe Namah Radha Govinda Preme Sadhe Namasi Sri Radha Govinda Preme Sadhe Namasi Sri Radha Govinda Preme Namasi Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namo Yani Kani Chapapani Brahma
Brahmachari Kannicha Tanitani Prana Shanti Rasina Pade Pade Haribu Jani Kannicha Papani Brahmachari Kannicha Tanitani Prana Shanti Pradasina Pade Pade
Rama Rama Hari Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Tulsi Devi Jaya Tulsi Devi Jaya Tulsi Devi Jaya Tulsi Devi Jaya Tulsi Jaya Tulsi Devi Jaya Tulsi Devi Jaya Tulsi Devi Jaya Tulsi Maharani. Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Rinde, Jaya Rinde, Jaya Rinde. Jaya Rinde, Jaya Rinde, Jaya Rinde, Jaya Rinde, Jaya Rinde.
Satya Namo Namaha. We offer our most respectful obeisances unto all of us, Lord, just like desire for you, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 43, text number 28. Gopyosya Nitya Mudita Hasita Prekshanam Mukham Pashyantyo Vividham Stapam Taranti Sma Smaram Muda Gopyosya Nityamudita Hasita Prekshanam Mukham Pashyantyo Vividham Stapam Taranti Sma Smaram Muda Gopyosa Nityamudita हसिता प्रेक्षणं मुखं पश्यन्त्यो विविधांस्तापं तरन्ति स्मरं मुदा गोप्यो सा नित्यमुदिता Anything else? गोप्यो सा नित्यमुदिता हसिता प्रेक्षणं मुखं पश्यन्तो विविधांस्तापान् तरन्ति स्मरं मुदा गोप्या the young gopis asya his nitya always mudita cheerful hasita smiling prekshanam whose glance mukham the face pashyantyah seeing vividan of various kinds tapan distress taranti sma transcended ashramam free from fatigue muda happily. Translation: the gopis overcame all kinds of distress and experienced great happiness by seeing his face, which is always cheerful with smiling glances and ever free of fatigue. Please repeat. The gopis overcame all kinds of distress and experienced great happiness by seeing his face, which is always cheerful with smiling glances and ever free of fatigue. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Because of seeing Krishna's face, the gopis were easily able to surpass the obstacles and scolding of husbands and fathers-in-law. Jiva Goswami says, some women with special bhava speak this verse. The gopis saw his face, which could be seen with smiles filled with constant joy, or they saw his face with beautiful glances, which were endowed with constant, joyful smiles, or they constantly, nityam, saw his face visible with smiles, udita hasita. Easily they crossed over suffering, taranti sma. They are not like us who had bad fortune. They speak with humility. Or sma indicates that it is well known. Rather than the past tense, the present tense, they overcome, is used since it was possible that Krishna could not return to Braj. The gopis suffered various miseries such as mental anguish because of being scolded by their husbands or the pain of separation. The rasa dance is also indicated. Hare Krishna. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांस्य श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगना रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Hare Krishna. I'd like to seek the blessings of Maharaj and all the senior, everyone here is so senior to me. So if you kindly please give me your blessings so we can discuss this verse. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay. So we are continuing this section where Sukadev Goswami is actually discussing what the people in the arena are actually talking after they saw Krishna and Balram. Right? So previously we read this verse where it was said that there were 10 different kinds of moods that the people experienced when they saw Krishna and Balram enter into the arena. Right? So there are 10 different moods. And, just to just go through them. So one was like fury, which was perceived by the wrestlers, wonder perceived by the men, conjugal attraction by the woman, laughter by the cowherds, chivalry by the kings, mercy by his parents, terror for Kamsa, then peaceful neutrality for the gopis, and loving devotion for the Vrishnis. So of these 10 different kinds of moods, what we are discussing today is that of the conjugal attraction experienced by the woman. So when Krishna and Balram walked into the arena, they were feeling that conjugal mood, which is actually in the previous verses pointed as Ujjvala Rasa or Shringar Rasa. They were experiencing that mood. And in that mood, they are actually speaking this verse. So, yeah. So that's just the first point of just the context in which we see these. And we see how Jiva Goswami points out that some women with special bhav speak this verse. Because they were feeling that conjugal attraction for Krishna, they could actually appreciate, or they can actually appreciate the mood of the gopis' conjugal attraction with Krishna, because they have that mood, right? So, yeah, so that's that first point. And then they say like, and they're thinking of like how the gopis in Vrindavan, they are actually, they overcome all kinds of distress and experience happiness by seeing Krishna's face, which is always smiling and full of fatigue. Now one may consider what is the distress for the gopis? They are the highest devotees of Lord Shri Krishna. So what is the distress for them? So we'll discuss that point. But let's just start off with, so that was the context, but let's just start off with how Krishna's smile benedicts the sadhakas for us, just to bring it more practical for all of us. So how can we in our spiritual life make Krishna smile? Would anyone like to share any thoughts? And what does Krishna's smile mean to us as devotees? Okay, by rendering service in a humble state of mind. Thank you. Yes, Mother Krishna. to bring in a new person and introduce, oh, this is so and so, right? Or introduce Krishna to that person, and by that, yes, thank you. Okay. So, so in one place, Prabhupada actually makes a point. When a devotee with all his heart and soul serves Krishna, dresses him in nice garments, like right now Shringar is going on, and gives him a flower, Krishna smiles. So Prabhupada talks about 3 points. One is serving Krishna with one's heart and soul. Next is actually engaging in serving, like in the Shringar form, like dressing the Lord. And third, he says, offering a flower to the Lord. Krishna smiles. And then Prabhupada says, if you can get Krishna to smile upon you just once, your life's goal is fulfilled. So this is actually from teachings of Lord Kapila. Where Prabhupada is saying, you can get Krishna to smile upon you just once, your life's goal is fulfilled. Right? So let's see, like, this is certainly a very high topic, discussing about the gopis. We will discuss few points to my limited knowledge, but just to make it more practical, for the smile, how can you make Krishna smile? I said, first thing is, actually Krishna his face is so, like, he's beauty personified, so he's always smiling. But it is only for us, because we are conditioned, we are covered by Maya, we don't see that beautiful smile of Krishna, right? So the first way I was thinking that the way we actually can see that beautiful smile of Krishna is just by chanting the holy names of Lord. Because how Prabhupada makes a point in one of the purports in second canto, where he says, just by chanting the name of Krishna, the form of Krishna is revealed to us. You know? So Krishna is there, he has this beautiful smile, but by regularly chanting the holy name and taking shelter of Krishna, then that Krishna reveals that smile to us. Right? So that's the first point. Then second point we see in Bhagavad Gita. In the second chapter of the Gita, when Arjun finally he presents all his arguments, and then finally he surrenders to Krishna. Shishya seham shadimam tvam prapannam. When Arjun surrenders to Krishna, then it's described in text 2.9 or 2.10, where it is described that Krishna smiles. And it is described that when a jiva, after so many long lifetimes, finally he comes to Krishna and surrenders, then Krishna smiles. Because that's Krishna's desire for each one of us, that he wants us to come back home, back to Godhead. So finally, after so many so many lifetimes, we come to Krishna and say, Krishna, Shishya seham shadi mam tvam prapanam. I take shelter of you, I surrender unto you. Then Krishna smiles. Right? So first is holy name. Second is just like directly coming to Krishna and just expressing in heart and saying that, oh, for so long, Krishna, I have been separated from you. But today, I sincerely take shelter of you, please accept me. So, and rendering that kind of prayer in that mood. Then the third point I wrote is the point that we just mentioned from Prabhupada's quote, that rendering a service, and then our principle is Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada, right? When we actually render service to a spiritual master, to Srila Prabhupada's mission, then when the spiritual master is pleased, then Krishna is pleased. So, we may not be directly able to perceive Krishna's smile, or maybe we may, but we can actually see the spiritual master who is actually pleased with us. And when we see the spiritual master smile with our mood of service, then we know that Krishna is actually pleased with that. Right? So Prabhupada says in this one purport of Bhagavatam, that devotees do not ask anything from the Lord in exchange for their service. Even the most desirable liberation is refused by the devotees, although offered by the Lord. Thus the Lord becomes a kind of debtor to the devotees, and he can only try to repay the devotees' service with his ever-enchanting smile. The devotees are ever satisfied by the smiling face of the Lord, and they become enlivened. And by seeing the devotees so enlivened, the Lord himself is further satisfied. So there is a continuous transcendental competition between the Lord and his devotees by such reciprocation of service and acknowledgement. Such a beautiful statement. So there is a continuous transcendental competition between the Lord and his devotees by such reciprocation of service and acknowledgement. So from the devotee side, one way, like we just feel gratitude to be engaged in service of Krishna. Because just to be or have that opportunity to serve Krishna, that is the greatest blessing. So one way we have that mood of gratitude, but at the same time, there is that desire, that longing to actually serve more, serve more, serve more. And when we actually sincerely serve Krishna, then Krishna gets pleased. But then there is more mood of competition, Prabhupada says. The devotee wants to serve Krishna more, and then Krishna actually gets pleased, and then he wants to reciprocate. And that acknowledgement, Prabhupada says, acknowledgement and service, that is constantly going on. You know? So in one way, a devotee is just aspiring for more and more of that acknowledgement and service, acknowledgement and service. And that is the desire of a devotee. Right? Then, so I talked of the holy name, I talked of surrender, I talked of guru. Then fourth point is, Prabhupada says, when we actually read Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is there in the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we really dive into the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam, and here, when we read like sections like this, which is describing directly the beauty of Krishna's face, and we are really absorbed. Like Prabhupada says, when we actually hear Bhagavatam from a pure devotee, that is actually seeing Krishna face to face. You know. So the fourth point is when we actually serve Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam. And then the fifth point is when we come in front of Shri Shri Radha Golokananda and we just offer our prayers, you know, we see the beautiful form, the beautiful smile of their lordships, and then we feel the satisfaction in the core of our heart. Right? And then we're like, oh, you are so merciful. I want to serve you more. I want to serve you more. And that's a constant mood of a devotee. Okay. So anyway, these were like a few points about how we can get Krishna to smile and what does it mean for a sadhaka. Would anyone like to add any additional points? Okay. Okay, so we'll go to the next part. So I want to talk about the smile of Krishna. Then the next thing is the mood of these women in the arena, right? So the women in the arena of Mathura are thinking about the gopis in Vrindavan, right? And they are actually saying that the gopis, they overcome all kinds of distress by seeing the face of Krishna. And Jiva Goswami is saying that seeing the face, saw his face which could be seen with his smiles filled with constant joy, or they saw his face with beautiful glances. So two aspects are there, smile and the glance of the Lord. And they are thinking the gopis are so fortunate, you know, because these women of the arena of Mathura, they just saw Krishna Balaram now. But they're thinking the gopis are so fortunate. Every day they see Krishna and Balaram. And that's why Jiva Goswami says that Nitya means constantly. Every day they are seeing Krishna and Balaram. They are so fortunate. Right? So I was thinking about the mood of the gopis here. It's actually a similar point in the first canto in the 10th chapter. Let me see, I can just pull up that section. Let's see. Yeah. So this is in the first canto, 10th chapter, text 28, where when Krishna leaves, leaves Hastinapur to go to Dwarka, then the ladies on the rooftop of Hastinapur, they have this section of beautiful prayers to Krishna. And there they are actually saying, so this is the verse, "Oh friends, just think of his wives, whose hands he has accepted." So the ladies on the rooftop in Hastinapur, they are thinking of the good fortune of the queens of Dwarka, because now Krishna is going to Dwarka. So I was thinking, oh, they are so fortunate, the queens of Dwarka, right? How they must have undergone vows, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe to constantly relish now the nectar from his lips by kissing. And then the damsels of Rajbhuvi would often faint just by expecting such favors. Right? So the ladies in Hastinapur are actually thinking, oh, the queens of Dwarka are so fortunate. And even more fortunate are the gopis of Vrindavan. Right? And I was thinking of this mood, that one way we say that devotee is actually perfect in his relationship with Krishna. And yet there is that mood of that, oh, I am not so fortunate. That person is so fortunate that he's getting that association with Krishna. Like Jiva Goswami makes a point in purport that they speak with humility. They are not like us who have bad fortune. So in spite of having that opportunity to see Krishna, they are thinking like, oh, we are so unfortunate. But those devotees are so much more fortunate, right? And I was thinking of that mood of appreciation for devotees, that when we see a guru reciprocating with a disciple, or a disciple being blessed, empowered by the guru, then we can think, oh, that person is so fortunate that he has got the direct blessings of the Lord. Right? And we see that again and again in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in different dealings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Rupa Goswami and other devotees, where they say, oh, Rupa Goswami, he is so fortunate that he's actually directly being empowered by you. And all the other devotees, they are actually appreciating that mood of the devotees receiving that special benediction. Right? So, so I was thinking about the mood of these ladies, and they're thinking, oh, we are so unfortunate, but they are so fortunate. And this also establishes in one way, like the ladies in Hastinapur are glorifying the ladies in Dwarka, and also further saying the gopis of Vrindavan. Right? So we just, Gaur Purnima was just a few days back, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually established these 5 main truths, right? Aradhyo Bhagwan Brajeshwar Tanay Tad Dhama Vrindavan Ramya Kachit Upasana Vargaru Vargena Vakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarthamaha. So these 5 things. And we see in the sections of the Bhagavatam that how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings are established in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And hence Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. That is the highest pramana. That is the highest truth. Right? And what is the truth? First he says, Aradhyo Bhagwan Brajeshwar Tanay. That most worshipful Lord is Vrajeshwar Tanay, the son of the king of Vraj. So you see now these ladies are actually seeing Krishna Balram, Krishna in the form of what his mood is in Mathura. And we know that, how when Akrura took Krishna outside, it wasn't the Sham Sundar Krishna, the Vrajeshwar Tanay Krishna. It was actually the Vasudev feature that was taken outside of Vrindavan. But they are glorifying who? The Krishna, Vrajeshwar Tanay. That Krishna of Vrindavan, he is the best, because his reciprocation with his devotees is the highest, is the most unique. Right? So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Aradhya Bhagwan Vrajeshwar Tanay. Not Krishna of Dwarka, not Krishna of Mathura, only Krishna of Vrindavan. He is our main object of worship. Right? Tad Dhama Vrindavan. And again we see the point that they are in Mathura, but they are thinking of, oh, these gopis of Vrindavan, they are so fortunate. So the Vrindavan is as worshipable as Brajeshwar Tanay. It is the highest of all dhamas. Right? Then he says, Ramya Kachit Upasana Varvaju Vargena Vakalpita. What is the best form of worship? That is the worship of the gopis of Vrindavan. So either in the case of the ladies of Hastinapur, or here the ladies of Mathura, they are all saying, oh, the highest is that of the gopis, because Krishna reciprocates with them in such a way that every day they are actually able to see Krishna. That is their great fortune. They are so fortunate. And basically that's establishing the third point, that the best devotees of Lord Krishna are those of the gopis of Vrindavan. And the fourth point is that the Bhagavatam is the proof of this. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. This is the proof of all these points. Right? And the fifth is Prema Pumarthamaha. The highest goal of life is that love for Krishna. Right? So, so we see that how while they are speaking, they are actually establishing the deeper, the highest, these 5 truths that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established. Okay. Now, one point is, what is distress for the gopis? It says here, by seeing Krishna's beautiful smile, his beautiful glance, all kinds of distress, and even the Sanskrit actually says Vividhan Tapan. Vividhan means various kinds of, Tapan means distress. Right? So what is the distress for the gopis? Having established the point that the gopis are the best devotees of Krishna, then certainly there's no question of their distress being anything material. But what is the distress of the gopis? So both Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami is actually making the point that the distress of the gopis is actually the obstacles and scolding of husbands and fathers-in-law. Right? Or Jiva Goswami is saying it is actually their mood of separation from Krishna. So one incident that we have just read in the chapter 31 is when chapter 29, when Krishna actually plays his flute, and then he calls all these gopis. Then it is described that how there are different kinds of gopis. There are Nitya Siddha gopis and then Sadhana Siddha gopis. And in Sadhana Siddha, there is the Rishicari gopis. And what's the other one? Yeah, personified Vedas. Yeah, Rishicari gopi and the personified Vedas. Right? Yeah. So Nitya Siddha and Sadhana Siddhas are two kinds. One is the Rishichari and one is the personified Vedas. The sages of Dantakaranya. Yeah, Shrutichari. Yes, thank you. Shrutichari. That's the word I was looking for. So these two, and then in that section it is said that those gopis, Sadha Siddha gopis, they actually, those who receive the association of a Nitya Siddha gopi, they actually, when Krishna played on his flute, they actually could come, and then it's described that how they were doing so many things. They were like either milking the cows, or they were boiling milk on the stove, or they were feeding their children, or serving their husband, or they were just dressing. And whatever they're doing, they just immediately left and just left. Immediately stopped what they're doing and left. Right? And then it is described that whatever the husbands and whatever the duties they were doing, right? So our Acharya says, well, there was like a duplicate physical form, so for the husbands and all those things, but the gopis, because their heart was stolen by Krishna, they just left right away. But in this, there were some gopis who could not leave. Right? And our Acharyas explained that point, that some of these gopis, they had actually children, and those gopis could not leave. But they also were so much absorbed in Krishna that that absorption was also their way of purification. I mean, purification in the sense attaining the highest perfection, and also a way in which they actually attain relief from the obstacle of not able to go and see Krishna. So when we consider the distress for the gopis, the only distress for the gopis is their mood. So I think it's okay, no? Right? So the only distress for the gopis of Vrindavan is their feeling of separation from Krishna, their ability to not see Krishna. And then the other aspect of distress is actually described in, like in Gopi Gita itself, there's a verse, right? Dina parikshaye nila kuntale vanaruhana nam vibrid avritam manasina smaram Ghana Raja Swalam Darshayan Muhur Manasi Nasmaram Veera Yachasi. Whereas actually the gopis are saying this in 31st chapter. At the end of the day, you repeatedly show us your lotus face, covered with dark blue locks of hair and powdered, thickly powdered with dust. O hero, you arouse lusty desires in our minds. So every day, this verse of Gopi Gita, the gopis are saying that every day in the evening, you repeatedly show us your lotus face, which is actually covered by dark blue lotus eyes. So every day when Krishna actually goes out with the cows, and then what is the mood of the gopis? They are in distress. But that kind of distress is what is being referred to here in this verse, is actually the highest form of ecstasy. And this is actually the distress and the obstacles here are actually arranged by Yogamaya to actually make their sambhog or their meeting more and more relishable. That is the only kind of distress that the gopis have. And here the women are saying that distress of separation, that the distress of the gopis, whether it's like every day when Krishna goes to the forest and then comes back, or whether it is during the Ras Leela, that kind of distress is actually overcome by seeing the smiling face of Krishna. So we as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our mood is that to follow in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, who are actually following in this mood of the form of worship of the gopis of Vrindavan. So what does this mean for us? It's like seems so high. Like, what does it mean for us? Like, at least one point that comes to my mind, and maybe you all can add some point, is that the distress even in our life, in our sadhana, when we are going through different phases, sometimes there are ups and downs, different challenges, obstacles, our only distress should be when we are actually not able to connect with devotees, devotional service, or Krishna himself in that way. That is actually the only distress for a devotee. Like Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. As long you are able to connect with Krishna, then it's all good. Even though that situation may be so challenging, but if you can always connect with Krishna, whether you're chanting, you're in devotees association, or any kind of service you're able to do, that itself is actually our best benediction. But if for some reason we are actually forgetful of Krishna, we are not able to connect with the devotees of Krishna, then that is our greatest form of distress. And this is actually, I was thinking, it's like, yes, okay, this may be a stage that we come to at a particular time, a particular point in our sadhana. But even for our mind, it's actually good to tell our mind that our only distress is when we are away from devotees, when we are forgetful of Krishna. Because the mind is so tricky and it always looks for happiness in this material nature and goes back and say like, oh, unless I get this, and this situation happens, I won't be happy. Unless this is so and so. The mind gives like, unlimited reasons. But if you tell our mind that no, everything is okay as long as I'm with devotees, devotional service, with the process of bhakti, and as long as I'm with Krishna, then that's it. So we can tell our mind, and then gradually the mind, which is such a rascal, will actually start accepting these points. That yes, our only distress is when we are not with devotees. So let's see if there are any comments at this point. Yes, ma'am. Mm. Beautiful. Wow. Mm. Well, Maharaj, you should. Well, to my limited knowledge, the point that comes to my mind is these ladies in the arena of Mathura may not be at the stage to actually realize that point of that, that so-called distress that Krishna experienced, because they're seeing Krishna right now and they're just seeing his smiling face and thinking, oh, the gopis are so fortunate that they can see the smile of Krishna. And they're saying, oh, Krishna is always blissful, but they may not be able to appreciate that mood, which is actually so exalted, which even Lakshmi ji is trying to actually, enter into the Ras Leela. So anyway, that's my limit. Okay. Yeah.
So on on discussing distress, you were saying, and it was a wonderful class, um, about how we need to tell our minds that we're not distressed. Who's the we? I mean, isn't our own mind just talking to us, or what is the function of us telling our minds that what is that?
Mm.
How does that work?
So the point that comes to my mind here is, the mind is crazy. There's always like super crazy. But the point that Krishna says in the 3rd chapter of the Gita is one should strengthen the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. So when we are reading the Shastra, when we are reading points like this, we are actually strengthening the intelligence. And then the intelligence has the power to tell the mind. The mind is crazy, is looking for this happiness, doing this. But the intelligence says, no, it's all fine as long as. So it is the intelligence that we need to strengthen so that it can actually speak. Otherwise, normally it's always the mind speaking, and it just keeps going on and on. But Krishna is saying that we need to strengthen the intelligence. And how do we strengthen? That is by Bhagavatam, by spiritual wisdom. When we are reading pastimes like this and we understand, what is the distress for us? And Maharaj was an excellent point that distress, the main distress is when we are losing the opportunity to associate with devotees. So if we read such things, then our intelligence is getting strengthened again and again. And then the mind, when it's actually experiencing things, all the so-called distress of the material world, then it says, okay, as long as I can chant the holy name, I'm okay, I'm good. So it's the intelligence. So that's all. Mother Krishna.
Very much remember when I first started reading Prabhupada's books and coming to Krishna consciousness, that before that I was always like really aware of this intense existential loneliness. And it was something I would think about, what is this existential loneliness? And then when I came in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books, I realized that it was forgetfulness of Krishna that creates this sense of loneliness in the heart of all living beings that makes them look here and there for something that can't be satisfied. And then I remember when I first came to Krishna consciousness, it was like, oh my gosh, it's like this devotee Dharma, he was the head puchari when I was in the temple in Miami. And he said, every day could be a beautiful festival for Krishna. Every day is a day of celebration. So like you were saying, through the association devotees and hearing, and then I've spoken a lot with Irma about this a lot too, how we all have a particular nature. So as we develop in our Krishna consciousness, we'll find that there are different aspects of devotional service that are able to help us remember Krishna more. Some people are very absorbed in their japa, some people are more absorbed in hearing, some people are absorbed in going out, but that ultimately each have to be able to, we practice the different limbs of bhakti, but also understand what actually helps us to absorb, because if we're not absorbed, then we're not pleasing Krishna, and Krishna's not gonna be smiling. So those were some things that I thought about.
Thank you.
And then in response to Maharaj's point that he brought up is like, and you said the higher thing is like, how this shows how Krishna's always smiling, but Radha is in control. She could upset Krishna.
Thank you. So the point that
Also, Krishna gets upset with us too. I've been in temples where the deities aren't being taken care of properly, and Krishna's not smiling in those temples. So it's not only Radharani who gets Krishna upset, we can upset Krishna.
Thank you. The reciprocation of the deities, and that where Krishna is upset is actually telling, like one way telling the devotees that you're doing something wrong. You need to So the point that came to my mind when Mother Krishna was speaking was, first you talked about that mood of loneliness, and Prabhupada says that point in one of the lectures, the need, he says of the Govinda necessity. We all have, like Sachin Maharaj puts it in a way, he says like, we all have like a vacuum-shaped Krishna in our heart. And the only way that vacuum can be filled is by the Govinda necessity, that Prabhupada says, Govinda necessity. And the second point about absorption, I'll just make this one point. I heard one devotee make this point. It is not only our duty to be absorbed in various services, it is also our duty to be absorbed. And I really like that point so much. So thank you so much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyasya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo.
Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Aham Bhajami Enam Kanvanda Aravindanayatakam Bhagavatam Samasitam Purasundaram Dandar Ato Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govinda Adi Purusha Tanaham Jami Govinda Adi Purusha Tanaham Jami Govinda Adi Purusha Tamaham Bhajami Andani Asakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Bhakti Kayanti Viramagati Ananta Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrasya Govinda Adi Purusha Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govinda Adi Purusha Tamaham Bhajami
Down. Namaho Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namine Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gurvani Pacha Egi Nivasesha Shunyavare Pashachare Charinde Nivasesha Shunyavare Pashachare Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nanda Shri Advaita Gacchana Siva Sati Gaurata Vrindara Shri Shri Advaita Shiva Sati Gaurata Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gacchana Shiva Sati Gaurata Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gacchana Shiva Sati Govinda. Prabhu Jananda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana, Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana, Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Jayat Hey. Rate, rade, rayo, rade, rayo, rate. Rate, rade, rade, rayo, rate. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shirat, Hey, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa.
Jai Jai Shri Krishna, thank you.
Sarvarapi Sahina. Nayanam Darara Rudaraya, Vadanam Gargara Rudaya Gira, Ulakai Nichitam Vapukada, Tavanamagrahan Vavishachi, Jugaitam Nimishyana, Chakshusha Prabrisaitam, Sunyaitam Jagasavango, Vinda Virahiname, Ahelisha Vapadaratam Pinashtumam, Adarshanam Mahamahatang Karotuva, Jatata Tova Vidata Tolampato, Mapranata Sevana para. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, which cleanses the heart of all those accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is for humanity at large because it expresses the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh my Lord, the congregation of chants of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for cleansing this name. Out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, think oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any numbers of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O son of Maharaja Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen in the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I may consider a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling your vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Sankirtana ki jai.
Hare Krishna. So we'd like to invite everyone, please join us tomorrow for the Rath Yatra at the St. Patrick's Day parade. There'll be at least like 10,000 or 20,000 people out there in the parade. It's a huge, huge parade, and we want a strong representation of devotees to. It's a lot, thousands of people. It's huge. So please do not miss this opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity to spread the holy name, and we'll have Lord Jagannath Rath Yatra. So please do join us. So parade will start sharp at 10, but please try to get there by 9:30 latest, because it's always like takes time to find the parking and coming to the spot. So please aim for 9:30 in the morning.